The Wealthy Life is brought to you by investment dealer Raymond James. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
With us today is financial advisor Tom Plunkett, here to share tips on intergenerational planning. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thanks, Sybil.
Tell me a little bit about your background. How many years have you been in the finance industry?
I've been a financial advisor for 20 years.
So you might know a thing or two?
I've seen a few things, yes.
Well, one of the things I find interesting about you is you have something that you do with your clients called The Talk Revisited. Well, expand on that. Explain that to me.
Sybil, 40 years ago when I turned to a teenager, my parents brought me into the family kitchen table and they gave me the talk. It was cold, brief, uncomfortable, and it was not an exchange of ideas.
Was it about money?
It was about the birds and the bees.
Ooh, the talk.
The talk.
And one of those taboo subjects that is uncomfortable and nobody wants to have it, but good old mom and dad did.
So, and what I've noticed over the past 20 years is that some families continue to use that type of conversational dynamic to deal with issues of estate planning and specifically their wills. And I think with a little bit of tuning up of how families communicate, both sides can have a far more satisfying estate planning experience.
Well, you know, money is one of those things that is also taboo. Nobody wants to talk about, especially intergenerational. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, mainly being privacy. I remember even asking my parents when I was a kid, how much money do you make? How much did this house cost? And they were like, whoa, whoa, not really any of your business. And on the one hand, parents want to teach their kids about money, but on the other, they don't want to share their stuff. Kids may not keep it a secret. So where's the fine balance? I mean, I know it's important, but how do you balance that?
Well, it's different for each family, of course, but you know, oddly from a child's perspective, children don't want to seem dependent or needy to their parents, so they don't want to talk about that intergenerational transfer of wealth. They also don't want to be judged on how they use their money, and in a lot of cases, they don't want to talk about being gifted anything because of that sense of guilt that children get from receiving a large gift.
Yes.
Now, from the parent's perspective, in a lot of cases, there's simply no history, there's no culture or language for how to talk to children about the family wealth. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of cases, some families just don't want to let their children feel entitled.
Yeah, and is there a way that you can talk about the family wealth without disclosing every specific? You can still talk in general terms, can't you?
You can, and I'd like to give you an example that I use with the people I talk with. It's Goldilocks and her three bears.
Okay.
There's too hot, too cold, and just right. So I always emphasize the development of financial plans for everyone I talk to.
Yes.
They're essential. And so in this example, Goldilocks does her financial plan, and she recognizes that she has a surplus, something that above and beyond what she needs to live. Now, with that surplus, Goldilocks decides that she wants to develop a family bank. And that family bank can be accessed by her three bears under certain circumstances. So the three bears are like this. The too hot is the first one she thinks about. She says, you know, too hot has a spending problem. Mm-hmm. I don't think I want to give too hot a lump sum of money now or in my will. So she takes that opportunity to talk to too hot and say, let's work through a financial plan and identify productive uses of this capital that give you a long-term perspective in your financial plan.
Great. Setting up too hot for success.
Exactly. The second example is too cold. And too cold, maybe you know this person, says, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about your money. I don't want to talk about your wealth or your death. And I don't need anything. And this is an example of communication breakdown in a family. So Goldilocks has an opportunity now to say, hey, it's not about the money. It's about what you do with it. And let's review what our family values are. And therefore, you can think about what you're going to do with this capital. Own it. It's yours now or in the future. And deal with that in your financial plan.
Yeah.
And then there's just right. And just right is, does this financial plan and says, I don't need anything, but looks like I will be approaching a commercial bank in the next 5 years to send a child to school and maybe buy recreational property. So in that case, just right is going to borrow money from the bank at 3 or 4%, while Goldilocks invests her money at 1 or 2%. A deal might be struck.
Right. So really, if Goldilocks or mom and dad aren't earning very much money on some savings, they've got it at a lower rate than their children may have to pay to borrow money at, why not come together? Now, in some cases, it's going to be a bad idea. Some cases, the family may not pay it back. This is money that the family, the mom and dad, doesn't need anyways during their lifetime, I assume.
Exactly.
And with proper planning, even if the child doesn't pay it back, it could be part of the will and estate planning to even it out for all the kids. What a great strategy. Now, I've only got about another minute of your time left, and I just wanted to hear what's next. What are the next steps that people should take? 5
steps. Mom and dad, go get a financial plan, updating all the market values and what your anticipation of growth is over the next couple of years. Identify if you have a surplus, and if so, do you want to make it a family bank? Number 3, bring the kids into the family meeting and say, this source of capital may be available to you. If you want it, then let's see a financial plan to show how you use it productively. Number 4, kids go out and do their financial plans. Number 5 is the execution. And in the execution, money changes hands. In some cases, wills will need to be redone and perhaps contracts signed.
Wow, that sounds great. And I think the financial plan keeps coming through time and time again. Don't know where to start to do a financial plan? Contact us at thewealthylife.com to get your financial planning workbook. This workbook will walk you through all the things you need to consider to get started. Tom, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. It's been great having you.
Thank you, Sybil.
And when we return, should you defer your property taxes?